Welcome back to Night Talk, a great debate this evening involving Tim Murphy and Larry Magi. They want your vote in the very extensive and diverse 18th Congressional District. All right, let's go back to you, Mr. Magi, specifically. This talk about he is part of a do-nothing Congress. There was a tremendous frustration that was palpable in this country related to the Congress over the last summer or two. The numbers all reflect that. The stats reflect that. The midterms in 10 reflected that. I don't know how much of that's been changed. If anything, I think it's been worsened by the polarization, and now nothing's getting done. How do you change that? And has he, in fact, been part of the do-nothing aspect?
Well, that's a problem. I mean, and again, it's not just the Republicans, it's Democrat and Republicans alike. They're just not getting it, not working together, not figuring out the problems. We knew about this fiscal cliff for the past year, and nothing's being done about it. We're going to wait the last year. Well, you got to at least be in session and talk about it. I mean, you got to, as I said before, out of the last 9 weeks, they've been on vacation 7 of the last 9 weeks, so they need to at least be discussing it, and nobody's talking about it. And that's one of the big problems. We need to get together. We need to figure out where we're going, and
do I take from that you don't believe at the very least that there's a sense of urgency associated with it in D.C.?
No, I don't. I had somebody tell me when I was campaigning, and he said, you know, I don't care what you do something, even if it's wrong.
So what would you do?
That's how
what
people,
would you do? I'd love to hear what would you do.
He's a moderator.
Well, no, he asked you what you would do.
So what we need to do is you need to go down and you need to cut spending. We all agree you got to cut spending, and you need to get things going, get together and talk about it. I mean, you got to compromise, and nobody's compromising. I mean, we're talking about we're not doing earmarks, but we're still got earmarks out there.
Right, and we're going to get to the earmarks. We're going to talk about compromise. It is a district that is with a strong Democratic registration advantage, as we're well aware. We'll go through the numbers momentarily. We'll do it in the next segment or two. But that has put you in a position. I'm going to tease you a little bit because we're not going to talk about this now, but I do want to make sure we get it out there, where you've had a balance a little bit with your district and with the entire...
I need to respond to the Do-Nothing Congress.
But I want to get to the new... and I want you to take us behind the scenes, because from, again, Joe Lunch's standpoint, it seems like you guys at times don't get going until we're really right at the edge.
We have sent about 40 bills over to the Senate to cut spending, to reduce regulations, to save coal, to draw for our oil and natural resources instead of continuing to import from OPEC, to deal with the Department of Defense, to deal with the sequester. We keep sending things over there. We have over 40 different bills we've sent there, and they go there to die. We have tried to deal with so many different issues with manufacturing. We've sent bills over there. Now, in the midst of all that, however, I was able to get a bill done on the generic drug issue, which is incredibly important to seniors and other people who pay for prescription drugs, to be able to have those prescription drugs move through the FDA faster. There's 2,000 in the pipeline that are sitting there waiting to come out. I did that with total bipartisan support, unanimous votes. It went through, and huge support in the Senate too, signed into law by President. I was able to get bipartisan support to help build a commissary to save the 9/11. We have done a number of things, but there's also a number of people who disagree with us when we say we're going to change this health care bill.
But are you talking?
Absolutely, we're talking all the time. All the time it's happening. Doesn't make the news because it's not juicy. What's juicy is to have people fighting and using rhetoric like that.
All right, well, he did, with the co-sponsorship of a representative in Ohio, I believe, put together something that he referenced moments ago, comes out of the Congressional Steel Caucus to protect the United States from, in effect, countries that cheapen their currency and take advantage and so forth, and there's punishment and penalties associated with that. That might, on its face, not go directly to our specific question about doing something, but because it died. But on the other hand, isn't that reflective of doing something?
Absolutely. We have to do something with China and the currency. But the problem is, the last 10 years, we're almost in $9 trillion worth of debt, which China controls most of the debt. So we got to make China play on an even playing field, and with our currency manipulation, that's great.
But hasn't he tried to address that, is my point?
Yeah, but nothing's been done. It's still not law.
Once you get it passed, once you get 350 votes in the House, and it doesn't get done in the Senate, haven't you done your part? I'm not taking a side here.
We have, and what's happened is twice a year, the Treasury Secretary Geithner, and I've discussed this with him, he can bring it before and bring it and raise it as an issue of currency manipulation as an unfair trade practice. He hasn't done it yet. Now the President talks about it, and Geithner talks about it, but he has the opportunity to bring that up twice a year when he goes up for review. He hasn't done that yet. Now, I don't know why. Maybe it's because China is also doing some threats with regard to Treasury, with regard to our debt, et cetera, although they would tend to fail too if there was problems with the dollar.
Right.
But nonetheless, we have had some success in working out some bipartisan solutions.
All right, we're going to come back. I want to start looking at those commercials. We see them all the time on TV. I want to see them with these guys and have them reply about it. We'll talk about it, Ellis Cannon, PCS.